So here we want to go with HTTP request with authentication. In the previous two examples, what I made, all of them are web service call without any authentication. Web service call without any authentication. It's an open URL. Whoever is making a request, I am giving a response to. But now I want to make it authenticated. So what do you mean by authenticated? Now both the organizations are exchanging a key. The service provider is going to give you a key. Now the service consumer, whenever you want any resource from the server, is going to produce that key, ask for the resource. Service provider will give a key to the consumer. Whenever the consumer need any resource from the server, he will produce that key and request for the data. I hope you are good with this. This is how the communication is happening. Now what is this third party system? This system will tell 1 rupee equal to how many dollars, or $1 equal to how many rupees. Now all my currency is represented in the form of dollar. Now what happened? Every day on nightly basis, job has to run and find out at the end of the day what is the price of $1. Price of, okay, $1 equal to how many rupees? Every day at the end of the working day, end of the working hours, it has to verify $1 equal to how many rupees, convert all the currency values what we have in opportunity into dollar, okay, into rupees, and show. All my opportunities are represented in the form of dollars. So every day at the end of the working hours, I want to find out $1 equal to how many rupees, and convert the dollar into rupees and display. This should be a daily process. Let us assume is a requirement like this. Now, if I want to make a web service call to this, first let us check how this web service is made. Then I will include this web service within a BatchBox. First, let us make a individual HTTP call to understand whether it is working fine or not. Right. Now, it is not a good practice to store your credentials, to give your credential as a hard-coded value in the programming. Never hard-code your credentials in the program. It is not a good practice. So you are supposed to store them in a custom settings, custom labels, or we can store them in a custom metadata type, or we can store them in a custom object, then use it. It is not a good practice to hard-code the credentials within the program. So you need to create a custom object, or you need to create a custom setting, or custom metadata type, or custom label, and use it. Right, boss? Now let me create it. Where is the API document? API usage. Where is the documentation? Here. So no. Look at this. I don't want a conversion rate. Right. Let's go to the documentation and see. So what is the format? Here we had exactly. Now look at this. Our source is USD, or values are this. What is the endpoint URL? Historical, we don't need access key, date, source USD. Okay. So if you give a source, let us try with this. Yeah, again that okay. We can make this API request, get the source. This is the currency. If I say convert the USD to INR, then I want to give 1 USD equal to how many INRs? So what do they give? 68.75. What is the format in which we are getting the response? Way to deserialize it. Now we understood that by making this request, we are going to get 1 USD equal to how many INRs, right? So what is our requirement? First, make a request, get the data using a Apex program and show it in the Apex program. Then I'll go to the BatchBox and run the program. First example, we are trying to make web service call with the API key authentication. First, we are looking at the third party, what is the URL, what inputs we have to give. So once you understand that what are the inputs, what is the authentication we have to provide, then I can write a program. So now we have verified what is the input parameters we have to give. We are going with HTTP. Next. String URL. What is the endpoint URL we have taken? First, we are supposed to understand what is the endpoint URL. That's how we have spent a lot of time in the documentation. I already told you it is not a good practice to hardcode the values. You're supposed to create one object You're supposed to create one object and use it. It's not a good practice to create hard-coded values. You're supposed to create one object and use it. So now,
Hello.
yes, right.
Sir, this UI provided to the
Your voice is not audible. Type
third
the,
party.
your voice is not audible. Type the message. So what I'm doing here,
The UI.
your voice is not audible. Type the message. Now, so let us create a custom object. Okay. Let's go with custom setting. Otherwise, obviously, you need to go through the documentation of the documentation file. Now, why did you spend so much time in that website going through the formats and everything? First, we need to understand what is a URL. They got a lot of URLs. Out of that, which service I need? They are providing multiple services like historical data, this date to this date, what are the conversion. They're giving a lot of services. Out of their services, whichever the service I want to find out, I want to use, I need to go through the documentation, find out, and specify it. Okay. So now I need to avoid this hard coding. So how do you avoid the hard coding? Again, I'll make it simple. Dot. My map dot currency. Then key equal to a dot AQ dot. This is how we are giving. Instead of hard coding, I have stored the data in custom setting and I am fetching it. So what is the data? We can write in a single line. To make it understandable, I have created in 2 steps. Get the currency value from the map. Right, boss. This is only to avoid hard coded values. Then we are going to make a request. How do you make a request? HTTP request dot set endpoint set method then we are supposed to v dot right. Then we are getting a response string body equal to response dot. The moment you get the body, we are supposed to deserialize it because the response is coming in the form of JSON. The response is coming in the form of JSON. Then fetch the body, deserialize. Now, if I want to deserialize, I can use the JSON.deserialize, JSON.parser. But if I want to go with the JSON.deserialize, I should have a class which have exact format of the response what we are getting. Whatever the response we are getting, in the same format, I should have a class or an object. Then only I can deserialize it. Otherwise, I have to write a program to create a class. Now, if I feel that I will be using this format regularly in multiple classes, if I feel that the response format is used in multiple classes, multiple requests, I will create a wrapper class. This format is only for this particular class. Whatever the response format we are getting, this is only specific to this particular Apex class. Then I will not go for a wrapper class. Straight away I will go for parser. If I feel that the same type of request I am making from multiple number of classes, I will be using the same format multiple places, then I will go for wrapper class. Here I am giving system dot body. Then while gp dot next token not equal to null, gp dot get text equal to USD INR, I guess. jp.getText equal to USD INR. Then we are going to say get next token. Decimal value equal to decimal. Get decimal value. Then I'm giving system.debug. First, we want to check whether service is running properly or not. Then we will go for our functionality. While jp dot next token not equal to null, this is how we create. If the current token is USD INR, then we go to the next position, get the token, convert them into this one. So let us run this. But before I run this, what is the primary point? The third party URL should be reached as remote site. Now what is the extra step in this program? We are passing API key as authentication. We are passing API key as authentication. That is only the extra step what we are building. Good. We are done with this. Let us go back, execute the program. Execute. Then go to the system.debug and check out, are we getting the values? What is the value? 68.7. So request is going successfully and we are getting the corresponding values. But now the issue is, what is our actual requirement? The code is perfect. Our requirement is, we need to update every opportunity record. We need to update every opportunity. How many opportunity records are there in database? Let us assume there are 10 lakh opportunity records. Let us assume there are 10 lakh opportunity records. If there are 10 lakh opportunity records, how will you implement? Now it cannot be a regular operation. Obviously it has to be a BatchBox. If it is a 10 lakh records, it is not a regular operation. Obviously it is going to be right. So then how will you implement it? I was supposed to go with the BatchBox. Let us go back. Creating a field. I'm giving a text field. Why I'm choosing a text? If I choose a currency, again it gives dollar. If I choose a currency, again it gives you dollar. Right. So I'm giving here INR. So whatever the program I wrote right now, that should be converted into BatchBox. Okay. Let us see. From the BatchBox, I want to call. If you are comfortable with the trigger, I'll go with the BatchBox. Everyone is good with the trigger example? Concept is clear with the trigger? Okay. So you're going with global. Implements. Database dot batch. Now global database dot query locator dot database dot batchable context then string query equal to select id amount inner value from opportunity where stage name equal to prospect. Then I'm return database dot get query locator. Then I'm going with a global void execute database dot batchable context opportunity. Now, in this case, what I'm doing, first I'm writing a web service call. I'm writing this web service call. Instead of decimal value here, I'm taking first I have to make a web service call to get the currency value. Once you got the currency value, then actually my logic will start. Scope op dot inner value equal to rupees op dot amount into var. Then update. Done. We are getting the $1 equal to how many rupees? Then I told op dot amount. Op dot amount will be dollar, $10 or $20. $10 into number of rupees. Right. Then update the scope. Then go back to the finish method. Global void finish. Batchable context. Nobody, if you want to send an email, you can send it, stating that the operation is completed or whatever it is. If you want to send an email, you can send it. You can quickly send an email. Mute your mics. Mute your mic. All of you mute your mics. Okay. Set subject. Batch acknowledgement. We can define whatever you want. I'm making it short. We are making it as short. We can design HTML body and edit properly. Our intention is not for sending a mail. Our intention is completing the web service call from the BatchBox. Set to address, subject, body. Then we had message. Then we're giving email. Right, boss. So what was the condition? Message dot set plain text body, right? Okay. Now we are writing a BatchBox class. In the BatchBox, what is happening? Fetch all the opportunities whose stage name is prospect. Fetch all the opportunities whose stage name is prospect. Get them. Now I am assuming that there are 10 lakh records with the same name. Now break them into a number of batches. Make a web service call. Get the $1 equal how many rupees. Then convert the opportunity amount into INR and display it. INR and update to INR value. Right. Now why we are going for a BatchBox? As there are 10 lakh records, there is a possibility of getting a governing bit. Let us say there are not even 10 lakh records, there are only 1000 records. But okay, there are 1000 records. Now I cannot make 1000 web service calls. I am making only one web service call. Now 1000 records, but only one web service. We are not getting a governing limits problem on the records. We are getting a governing limits problem on the records. We are not getting a governing limits problem on the web service. So no need of BatchBox. But when you go to 10 lakh records, there is a possibility of hitting a governing limits. So we are writing a BatchBox program. Web service call is going only once, but number of records are 10 lakh. So there is a scope of getting a governing limits problem. So I have written within a BatchBox. Now the first question is, can I write web service call within the BatchBox? Is the first question. We are writing very good, but the first question is, are we allowed to write a web service call within the BatchBox or not? Database dot. So first let us see, are there any opportunities with prospect? Otherwise, prospecting. Go back here. Okay. Let me execute it. Execute it. Now it is not throwing error here because it is asynchronous. While it is running, it will throw error. It is not asynchronous. If it is synchronous while executing it itself, you get an error. But it is asynchronous. First, the job should be added to the queue. From the queue, when it is running, it will throw error message. So go back and see. It will be an error. Call out exception 1. Jobs. First error, too many callouts 1. I made only one web service call. Too many callouts 1. Why we are getting this error? You are not supposed to make a web service call from BatchBox without implementing database.allows callouts. If you want to implement web service from the BatchBox, we are supposed to implement one extra interface. Allows callouts. Now, what is the interface we are implementing? Database.allows callout. If you want to invite or if you want to invoke any web service calls from the BatchBox, then we are supposed to implement an interface called database.allows callout. If I implement this interface, then the web services are accepted from here. Now again go back, execute. Go back to the status and check it out now. Now, what was that? Update failed. First exception on row ID. Why failed? Amount is there, maybe size of the data. I give number of characters as 15. Let me increase. Hopefully this may be the error. Go for it and execute. Let me cross check what may be the error. Number of sock pulse. Execute it. Let us go back and check. So first the call out exception is lost. Now what is the error here? Too long. Now output is coming more than 15 characters, but I gave only 15 characters. There was a bug. So now I reduced to 1000. So operation is successful. Go back, look at this. Maximum length is 15 for INR. But output we are getting is somewhere 1 lakh pounds. 1 lakh into 68. Go back to testing. The fresh. So look at this. I gave 1000. Now it is 68,755 rupees. Right, boss? Are you getting my point? So here the concept is How to make a web service is the first concept. Second concept is how to make a web service call from BatchBox. So if you want to make a web service call from the BatchBox, then what is the primary? Synchronous web services are not supported. Now if you want to implement any web service call from the BatchBox, you are supposed to define web services in the BatchBox only when you implement database.allows callout interface. Only while you are implementing database.allows callout interface, then only will be able to write a web service call from the BatchBox. Now this is the example to create web service call using API key. We are using a API key. With the help of API key, we are making a web service call. Everyone is good with this? Everyone is good? Clear for everyone? Right, boss? Okay. Now, let us go with the next one. Let us go with the next one. I hope you are good with this, right? Now I'll go with the next one. Probably Google Maps will do it or SMS. I guess I have my credentials are not expired for SMS. If my credentials are not expired, let us see. We'll check out any free SMS packs are there. Text locals. Okay. We'll see how to send a SMS. Probably they require verification of email. Let me give. We'll try to use. Was that? Okay. So let us see documentation. Already there is API key for me. Right. So now let me give documentation. Now there is a API key. Now I want to see how to send Right. So what is this? We got API key, username, hash, okay, password, optional parameter. Now, right. So this is the format what they're giving, but where is the phone number, boss? API key, username, hash, password, optional parameters, format. Okay. Then, okay, basic a quick introduction call they have given, no problem. Then, what was that? Send SMS. If I want to send SMS, this is the URL they have given. Then they ask me to sender message. Okay, who is sending? Sender message. What I want to send? API key, username, hash, password, then numbers, group ID, optional parameters. Numbers to whom I want to send it. All these are optional parameters, so I will not be specifying any one of these. I will be giving only one. Okay, what is mandatory? Sender name, message, API key, username, hash, password. First, let us check whether my format is running properly or not. So, what is the URL they have given? Test URL. What was this? So, if I want to use this, I need to follow the documentation. If I want to use them, I have to go to the documentation. So, let us see how to send a SMS from this. Did you get my point? Now, I have just Google it. I got some third-party system opened. There is a documentation. I'm just going through the documentation, analyzing what is the data I have to send, how to find out. Now they are asked username, password, key, right? So go through the documentation, find out what is the data we need to give, where to find the data, and we are supposed to make it. So let us say SMS program. So let us take public. Public void set first string URL. What is the URL we had? Okay. This is the URL. Then string body. In the body first, what is the parameter we are passing? What is the parameter they are asking you to pass? Sender name must be 6 alpha characters and should be pre-approved by text local. In absence of approved sender name, use the default. Okay. First, sender equal to text local. Body equal to body plus. What is the second parameter? body plus. Now what is the next one they are asking you to pass? API key. Somewhere I have found API key. As I already told, it's not a good practice to hard code it. You're supposed to body equal to body plus what is the next one? They're asking you to username we have password body plus, then they're asking you to pass hash go to the documentation, all documents, right. So what else they're asking? I'm just going through the documentation, understanding what they're asking and giving numbers. Tell your number, boss. Your mobile number 97036596. Are you married? Married or not? No, he's not married also. Married. So this is the format. This is the URL. This is the body part of the message. So, right now I was supposed to create HTTP. Request dot set endpoint. What is the endpoint? This is the endpoint. Request dot set method post method. Request dot set body. So endpoint method body. Then I'm making a request. Is equal to response dot then. Let us see if my account is still live. The SMS will be received. Then status. Response dot get status. Now what was this? We are trying to send an SMS to this number with this documentation. So let us see, if account is active, you may receive the SMS, or else we find why that SMS is not sent. Then we are giving ex dot. First, prior to this, what is the primary thing? Register the endpoint URL with remote site settings. So we have remote site settings. Execute. So when you executed it, meanwhile, let us see the status. Right, status okay, balance 9. The message was sent. You received the message? Right. Now the same functionality. Now we have sent the message, he has received the message. Now the same functionality, let us make it like a use case. Now we made this example to check whether connection is working or not. Still I have 9 more connections. I can send 9 more SMS. They have given 10 accounts. One we have sent, still I can send 9 more. Now the code is, look at the format. Now what is my requirement? Whenever customer raises a case, or whenever a new lead is created, one SMS has to be sent to him confirming, boss, our agent will get back to us. Or an SMS, okay, one email has to be sent, one SMS has to be sent. Or else, when a customer raises a case, email should be sent and the case number should be sent to him through the SMS. Whenever a customer has placed an order, now email confirmation has to be sent as well as this. Or else, I want to create some extra login. Now we are getting a login authentication. Now Salesforce has already given username, password. I feel it is not secured. I need one more step of authentication. The moment you log in with the proper username, password, one random string will be sent to him. The same random string he has to enter. Then only you will be able to log in. So you want to create an extra set of authentications. Now in that case, we are going for what? The SMS base. Now we will take an example. What is the example? When a new lead is created, or when a new lead is created, I want to send a SMS to the lead. Right, stating that he is the representative. Okay, dear customer, your request is taken. Call us on the same so and so number. Some SMS I want to send. Then how will you achieve this? When a new lead is created, automatically it has to be performed. How will you do this? When lead is created, automatically the thing has to be performed. Obviously what? Trigger. Now built-in functionalities, I can create a workflow rule. What is the workflow rule? When a lead is created, if the condition is met, send a email alert. But the SMS is not available within a Salesforce as a built-in functionality for you. So I am going with a third-party system to purchase some SMS and I am giving it. I hope you are good with this. People have followed this, right? So you can create an example of this. Can you create an example with a trigger? Now your case is, now whatever the code I have given, right?